going on, Ty? What up? It's Thursday. Can't believe the year's almost over tomorrow. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. What's going on, Roger? Probably give it another minute or two, see who joins in, who trickles in real quick, and then we'll kind of get started here. Kind of a quiet day for the flow alerts for the most part. Not as many as we've had the past 2 days for the most. So, it should be pretty brief tonight. What's going on, Jason? Appreciate that, Roger. Definitely appreciate that. Just another quick moment or so, see if another one or two trickle in here, and then we'll get started right away. All right, let's get down to it. Today was pretty much a very nice day. It started out pretty nice, I will say that. And then we got that whiplash out of nowhere that really hit us just blindly. Ouch, Roger. I mean, Amazon has really just been a fake out the past few days. I know that there was rumors about Amazon really just not participating in the rally this year, and more so having its bull run going into next year. And it seems more and more like that. We do have one more day to close out the year here. We'll see what ends up happening. But futures are definitely not looking like tomorrow is going to end the year pretty. So we'll see if it ends up playing out the way that futures are looking right now. I think it's a little bit too early to say that we're definitively going to be red tomorrow. So I would just pump the brakes just quite yet. It's pretty early. We might even see a V-shaped recovery. Who knows? But I think everyone pretty much did not like the fact of Amazon's actually treated us. If you ended up seeing my falling wedge that I pretty much had on my live stream today, we ended up getting that one little nice pump. I think it was literally like about a $6 or $7 candle, and then it was literally just nothing after that, and then we just got that nosedive out of nowhere, pretty much on the broader market. So let's see what it does tomorrow to close out the year. It would be pretty much a drag to really see the market close out on a downside. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But a lot of what I'm seeing from Amazon's perspective is I'm seeing a lot of calls outdated towards covering their earnings early next year. That's what I'm really seeing. I'm seeing a lot of 3600, 3700 calls gearing up towards their earnings, in which they're approaching a nice little run up, is what I'm anticipating from what the dates that I'm seeing on the flow. But this year is just a disappointment that they didn't partake in the Santa Claus rally. I would love to see if it ends up pumping $100 tomorrow. That would literally be a bang to end the year. But again, I mean, way futures are looking right now, it's hard to really say. But we'll touch bases on that tomorrow morning. Let's just see how it opens up, how it gaps up or gaps down tomorrow morning. And I'm pretty sure you'll hear me probably say the first word out of my mouth will be Amazon come on live. And we'll see what it does by then. All right. But starting out with Amazon, because that was one of the first alerts I was going to cover here real quick. We had the rapids that went off this morning, and I'm pretty sure that's actually what was the trigger of wanting to get all the hyper on Amazon. And I know Avery was also behind me on that. But we saw that rapid go off. You had an opportunity to get your quick 10-15% out of this one. If you got greedy, maybe by myself or others, then yes, it was costly. But if you ended up taking your quick 8 to 10% off of those Amazon Rapids, they hit that at 34.10, and this ended up peaking at 34.17. So that was easily a $7 move at the very minimum. And if you usually play it the way that I typically, you hear me repeat myself, is setting a low balling order, setting a limit order, then you had an opportunity to get even bigger than a $7 move on that rapid. So it was a quick one that would give you easily your 10 to 15%. And if you gave that low ball order, like I usually preach, is that you would have got yourself more than 15% off of that move. All right. What's going on, Tatum? Tatum, are we out of the box by the way? Like, did we break north on the box? I heard Tatum and Dapper just saying something about a box all power hour, pretty much. But as you saw, we got the full 10% out of Amazon. You had an opportunity to get more, and if you set that low balling order, you literally got more than about 15% out of that because it was greater than a $7 move that you had potentially. All right. Moving on, next alert was Tesla. I literally called this one, and it played out exactly how I actually said it. The bad part was that I didn't hold it long enough. So it is what it is, but we ended up getting this rapid on puts here down at the bottom. When I ended up seeing that come out and how low the price point was at 1056 and seeing where the market conditions were at the time that we were pretty much Nasdaq was trying to push at that time, I was literally looking at the fact that shorts were really just going to get squeezed. No, usually what Tesla ends up looking like is not really what's perceived to end up happening. That's the case that I've noticed with Tesla. I know that Avery's also very familiar with how Tesla ends up playing out as well. Because what it looks like, yeah, the news today was really bad about all the recalls and the number of recalls that they have. And you would expect that stock to really just sink towards the 1,000 mark. That did not end up happening. So that bad news ended up being like it was good news because we pretty much came back and we ended, well, not ended, but we ended up going green just to end up flushing with the broader market. So I was calling for this one to be careful on this rapid when it came out because I was expecting shorts to get squeezed out, and I was calling for 1090. That was literally the initial push that we got towards. Then I ended up seeing that dip, and it was literally looking like a little flag right here, and we peaked up to 1095. So that was a beautiful move, but I was calling for 1090. I think right when we were about like 1070 ish or so, I was calling for 1090 on this to go to, and that's literally exactly what it went towards. And I was looking for it to end up breaking the day even, test green, and it gave you a little bit of more push. I think it went up about $7 green, and then before that, steady decline into the after hours. All right, so that was a beautiful one. In the sense that I tried to warn you. If you ended up taking my advice about shorts getting squeezed, then yes, you kind of avoided this rapid, and you took my advice instead. All right, but in a sense that this was not pretty. This would really, this buyer literally just got squeezed to death. So hopefully it ended up hitting his stop loss and he exited. But that was not a pretty rapid. But that's what we're on live for. That's exactly what we're on live here, is to guide you guys and tell you what we see from our perspective. All right. So hopefully you listened and you took my advice of about shorts getting squeezed on this one, and you didn't take an entry on puts down here at the bottom. All right. Next one was Twilio. Twilio actually caught my attention in the sense that I remember when Now actually got two Nimbuses, and it also covered earnings. This one also covers earnings for this Nimbus for Twilio, but you had an opportunity today to make a quick 10-15% off of this as a day trade. The one thing I didn't like in particular is usually you hear me say that I usually like the 3 week expiration within 3 weeks. This one was about 2.5 months here in which it covers the earnings. But you had the opportunity to scalp it. You had the opportunity to make a quick 10-15%. They hit it at 264. You can call that 265. We ended up peaking here on the day at 269.56. So about a quick $4 move from the current price that they entered. And of course, you probably could have got filled as low as 264 on that. So that was a quick little scalp. You got your 10-15% out of that if you ended up day trading it. I do like it. And the other thing I did like that I was fond of is the premium that they went in with, which was 204K. So normally I do like to see it over 100K, and that's exactly what we got, pretty much times two. We got 200 plus K on this one. So beautiful day trade on this one. Next one was FXI. I remember Tatum actually mentioning that this was the China ETF. So I didn't necessarily look at this one right away, but this ended up looking to be like a nice day trade here. And where is the actual alert? All right, there we go. So here's the alert. They ended up picking it up at 36.87. If you see, we peaked at 37.18. So for this one, you probably have to get a low balling order, and it was very minimal type of scalp here. Probably got maybe squeezed out about 8% or so, based upon depending how where you went. If you went in the money, that was a better opportunity on this one than rather at the money. But that was a beautiful little trade right there. You would have got your quick little 8-10% out of this move. And we saw all the China names that were literally just pumping, the Baidu, the Neo, and Baba, etc., etc. All those names, probably throwing XBev in there. So all those names were pumping, so it made sense for the ETF to end up coming out with an alert and they try to end up getting a nice little scalp. Who knows? They may even end up holding this going into tomorrow, and we may end up seeing a little bit of a continuation out of those China's and names as well. So keep it on the radar tomorrow. Maybe another day trade opportunity here on this ETF, rather than going individual names. Okay. Next alert was CACC. I'm not too familiar with this name in particular, but they ended up getting in this one at the end of the day. So we're gonna have to wait to see how the reaction is going into tomorrow. See what this one ends up doing. But they got in at 338. That was pretty much close to the end of the day here. And if you notice, I think it topped out here. You got an opportunity to get in, and it topped out at 671 was the top, so about a $2 move from where they entered. But more than likely, they're not looking for a day trade off of that because of the time frame that they went in. They went in at 3:38 Eastern, before 20 minutes before market close. So it's likely that they're closing, and they're. We'll see what the continuation is going into tomorrow on the CACC. All right. Another one was AMR. Who's just pinging my phone like that? All right, never mind. Another one is AMR. This one actually caught my attention late in the day because I also saw that Mamba actually got into this trade, and this one was just mooning. And I heard Dapper literally saying it on live that it literally was just mooning, and that literally just took off. I think if you didn't catch it when you were supposed to, when this alert came off, then you pretty much just missed your opportunity. Because of one thing, if you heard me say yesterday, is that I usually don't like to get in on heavy spikes because the premium ends up getting jacked up. So if you ended up on this candle down, then you pretty much got hit pretty hard, because then the premiums are really going to get shaken out because it's going to drop significantly. So that's something that you really want to be careful in. So you really want to get in right away. Who knew that this was exactly going to pop the way that it ended up doing? So, but I did like the trade. I do like the 100% TFC score. I certainly like the fact that, actually, no, it was not. This was actually a very odd one. I think the only two things you could say is the premium wise and the TFC score, because what ended up happening is that they actually went in the money. So typically for me, that is actually not a confidence play in my estimation. I typically like to see out of the money, especially when you're throwing this kind of money at it. But this was in the money, so it was a little bit more at terms of my risk liking. I would have said this was a little more conservative, considering that what the price action is. Now seeing that, I would not have expected that kind of price action, given the fact that they went in the money on this. So that was literally a hit or miss. But granted, the fact that it was a 100 TFC score, 100%, I think everyone at this point takes anything that's over 80%. So if you got into this one knowing that the TFC score was so high, kudos to you. You made bank on that one, and I know that Mamba certainly made bank on it. But given the fact that it was in the money, yeah, I would have been skeptic as well, because I would have looked at that being not as aggressive, and also given the fact that they gave themselves 3 weeks of expiration time. So those are two things. But if you ended up taking that play, kudos to you. You ended up making bank, because that was a quick, at least quick, what, 30-40%, because that's a pretty massive candle right there. So congratulations if you took that one. And then the last alert that went off for the day was Dash. This one was a little bit of a head scratcher because I was not expecting this one towards the end of the day here. But two things to notice here is that, one, they did give themselves a week of time, and then my confidence indicator that I usually like is that they went out of the money on this play. So they did take the 160 strike. Current price was 152.80. So I do like this one. I'll keep an eye on it to see how it ends up pretty much materializing going into tomorrow and into next week. So I definitely want to see if it's going to get a nice little V-shaped recovery here off of this downtrend into the market close. And then I'll address that to see if I want to end up taking a position for next week expiration, because it is short dated and it is out of the money. So those are two things that I love to end up getting in positions like that. But we want to see how it ends up continuing. And I do like the fact that it is above my threshold of 100K on the premium. So that one I'll keep an eye on. And also the TFC score is over the 60% that I typically like. So we'll see how this one ends up playing out tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on it, monitor it. But right now, futures are just not looking good. If I pretty much look at futures right now, I mean, tech is not doing that bad. We saw that 60-point drop today, and it didn't really shake as much as I anticipated. So I can see Nasdaq end up recovering. S&P feuds, that's a little bit more of a different story. Down about 15 points right now. it could be worse, is what I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though it looks bad right now. Is that if we open flat, I won't be surprised. It's hard. I'm literally hard bent to see that the market's really gonna end up closing out the year in a bloodfest tomorrow. So I don't think it's gonna be anything like that. If it's gonna be anything, it's just gonna be a choppy day tomorrow. Whether it be green or it be red, it's just gonna be something more so of a chop. That's what I would anticipate. All right. Other than that, welcome in, Lisa. How do I join the live session? The live session is actually going to be when you go into the channels off to the left corner. If you literally go down, scroll down to the bottom, you click on premium voice under voice channels. That's how you're going to be able to join the live voice tomorrow when all the traders are on voice, basically. All right. And how do you get the analysis below the chart? The analysis that I have below my chart right now is pretty much off of our flow page alert and also in the unique flow channel in Discord off to the left column. All right, so either you can get it from the flow alert page that we have, or you can get it from the unique flow channel that we have on the left side of Discord in that left column there. It'll say unique flow. All right. Understandable. I mean, everyone takes a break here and there from the market. I don't think trading the market every single day of every year is pretty much healthy for the brain for that matter, because then there's going to be a point in time where you end up over trading, you take bad trades, pretty much maybe personal things affect your trading. So you always want to take a break here and there. So I can definitely understand you being MIA. Tatum, I appreciate you dropping that link by the way. So big picture, let's see if futures can recover. I think we can. If you see, I mean, Nasdaq's trying to recover here pretty quickly, looking like a V-shaped recovery. So I'm not too worried about futures just yet. It's really early that we got that drop. If we got that drop probably about what, say 3 o'clock in the morning or so, then I would have been a little bit more concerned because it probably would have indicated we got some continuation early in the morning, and that wouldn't be healthy for those of us swinging calls. All right. But other than that, I think we'll get. I mean, if you look at it right now, we're almost basically back to flat on futures. So I'm not worried just yet. Those of you can that are worried, I would just kind of just keep it cool. You can mute the music. We'll keep it cool here. We'll see what the market does tomorrow. I think we'll have a fine day going to close out the year. I don't think the market makers really want to see us just bleed out into the end of the year. But biggest disappointment I will say was Amazon. I know that a lot of you took a hit on Amazon, so hopefully it wasn't that bad. We'll see if we can make do tomorrow. If that had a 100-point day tomorrow, that would literally just make the year for me. And I'm pretty sure for everyone else because I will definitely be in that. But other than that, I think we'll call it quits here for our live session tonight for recap. Not much else to recap. We'll see how the last day of the year concludes. And then I would say that for everyone, what I would pretty much prioritize this weekend is making sure that you go through, look at different charts, look to see where a rotation may end up taking place going into next year. Look at larger time frames, look at the daily, look at the weekly time frames. Because what you do on, you basically just want to be prepared going into next year is to know where the rotation is going into next year, the first half of next year. Seeing where the rotation is, what sectors. Like, for instance, today, if you actually saw, when I woke up and I saw like names like Twilio up, Upstart up, Affirm, and all the Chinese names, and I'm like, where did they just randomly pop out of nowhere? That was literally the rotation that you got into names today because we saw tech just faded and all those names literally just rose up. Pretty much, they just rose up from the dead. That's basically what it felt like. So we definitely want to see if there's going to be a continuation into those names that have pretty much been the leaders for the most part of this entire COVID rally. And after they just pretty much got slammed down to the floor, literally some of them have actually gotten cut more in half than anything, and maybe even more than that, probably about 80% from their highs. So keep an eye on what the continuation is from those names that have really just been leading the rally, like the DraftKings of the world, the Penn Gaming. Keep an eye on those kind of names going into tomorrow as well, because maybe we continue to see those names trend higher rather than trying to just keep an eye on tech constantly. All right. So I'll leave you guys with that. But again, get some charting session in for this weekend. I know that I won't be live tomorrow. I know it's going to be New Year's Eve. So I will see you guys probably in 2022 if I don't see you guys on live tomorrow. But other than that, you guys have a good night, and I will see most of you tomorrow then, alright? Have a good one, guys.